Hello everyone. In today's lesson, we will cover conditionals, or in other words, we will have a look at if and wish clauses. Let's start. So before we start with if type 0, I want to first have a look at conditionals' most basic structure, grammatical structure. So sometimes some students get confused about how a specific type is formed. Whenever you have some problems remembering how a specific form a specific structure is formed, just try to remember this one. Most basically, after if, we use tenses. So after if, usually what we have is we have tenses. And then in the main sentence, in our real message, in our main clause, we have a modal. This is usually what happens in different types of if. There are also some exceptions to this, but still, if you have troubles remembering the structure, just try to remember this one. After if, usually we have a tense, and in our main sentence, we usually have a modal. Now, let's start with our first type of, with the first if clause type 0, okay? So, if clause type 0 is used to express true and scientifically factual conditions in the present. So, here, there are some important keywords. True and scientifically factual. So for type 0, it has to be true for you as a person, or scientifically. It should always be the case, okay? And another keyword here is present. So if type 0 talks about present, it's like general truth, okay? So for this reason, structure is very, very simple, all right? After if, you have present simple tense, and in your main clause, you again have simple present tense, because you are talking about general truths, all right? Whether it's your truth or it's scientifically factual, it doesn't matter. You're talking about general truths in the present. For this reason, if plus simple present, comma, simple present. That's it. So let's give some examples to it, all right? So if it snows in the spring, most trees lose their flowers. This is always the case. This is general truth. It's not maybe scientifically factual, but this is always true in our life, okay? So if it snows in the spring, most trees lose their flowers, all right? So here, if clause is the condition. What is our condition? If it snows in the spring. What is the result? Most trees lose their flowers. This is the result. So first comes with if, you have a condition, and in your main clause, you have the result. Most medicine gets spoiled if they are exposed to sunlight. Again, this is general truth, okay? If they are exposed to sunlight, most medicine gets spoiled. That's it. Students tend to follow classroom rules voluntarily. They want to follow classroom rules if they sincerely like their teacher. This is again general truth. And finally, this is our final example. If you admit your crime in the court, you get a smaller punishment. You get a milder punishment. All right? So this is the law. All right? This is usually the case in court. So we are using if type 1 in this case. All right? What about if type 0? Actually, we talked about if type 0 so far. Now, what about if type 1? Now, this time, if type 1 talks about the possible future result. Now, here comes the future, all right? The possible future result of a present condition. Now, here we have a present condition. Well, actually, it can be a future condition as well, okay? But the important thing here is, here our condition has a future result, and it's possible, it's quite likely that it will happen, okay? So if we, first the structure, all right? So as you can see, with if, you usually have simple present and present continuous. Sometimes, only sometimes, you can have a modal verb with if as well, all right? But in your main clause, you usually have modals. That's it, all right? Will, can, should, must, have to. You usually have modals in your main sentence. Sometimes, again, you can have imperatives. Now here, important thing is, if gives the present condition or maybe future condition, sometimes maybe future condition, but your main sentence, your real sentence gives possible future result. Let's give some examples to this one, okay? So, if I have some time left, I will help you with your work. As you can see, here we have a condition, if I have some time left, with simple present tense, but here, actually, the condition will happen in the future. If I have some time left in the future, I will help you with your work, again, in the future. Call the police if they threaten you again. So here, our main sentence is imperative. Call the police. Call the police if they threaten you again. All right? If you are going grocery shopping, can you please get me some chocolate? Now here we have present continuous tense because the event or the condition is happening right now, right? So if you are going grocery shopping, can you please get me some chocolate? So the main clause is used with can. As you can see, so far, all the main sentences, all the main clauses are used with modal verbs or imperatives. Again, you must put some effort. Again, we have a modal verb in our main sentence, right? In our real sentence. So you must put some effort if you really want to immerse in a foreign culture. Yeah. So if clause, if is used with simple present tense, and it's general. Here we have a general idea. If you can learn to play the piano, you can learn to play any musical instrument. Now here what we have is two modal verbs. If you can learn to play the piano, you can learn to play any musical instrument. Now, people, as you can see, if type 1 is a little more flexible. Here you have two modal verbs, right? In here you have a present continuous tense with if, but important thing is you have modal verbs in your main sentence mostly, or imperative maybe, okay? But not simple present tense. If type 1 does not have simple present tense in the main clause, all right? I have one more example. All right, this is from a very famous cartoonist actually, but I cannot remember his name. So if we pull this off, a spider is talking to another spider, okay, and they have a net right here, right? And they say, if we pull this off, we will eat like kings. So they are trying to catch a child sliding from the slide. So if we can do this, if we can manage this, we will eat like kings. They are planning to eat a child. Now that's quite funny. All right, so far we looked at if type 0 and if type 1, okay? Let's do some exercises on these two, and after the exercises we will have a look at if type 2.